Good evening and welcome to the June 8th meeting of the Falmouth Conservation Commission. Before we get started, if you have a cell phone or electronic device, if you can put it on silence or turn it off, it would be greatly appreciated. Also, if you're here to speak on any of the applications, and we encourage you to do so, we just ask that you take the podium and speak into the microphone because we're being recorded by Falmouth TV, and have your piece. Okay, so first up on tonight's agenda is minutes of the March 16th, 2016 meeting. Has anybody read that?
Mr. Chairman, I read March 16th minutes and I find them acceptable.
Second.
We have a motion.
I don't know if that was a motion or,
Yeah, that was a motion. Oh,
okay, then I second.
Mike's got a motion and Courtney seconded to accept the minutes of March 16th. Any other discussion? Okay, hearing none, I'll call for the vote to accept the March 16th minutes. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. Abstention?
One
unanimous?
abstention because I was not here.
Okay, thanks. So, one abstention on that, don't worry. Okay, April 27th, 2016.
Mr. Chair, I have two things, and they both may be nothing, but on page 4, there's reference to, where is it? 138 square feet of structure requiring 260 square feet of mitigation, and those numbers don't go together, and I can't remember if there was some reason. It should be, if you just double that, it would be 276 square feet. So I don't know if that's a mistake or if there's something that explains why it wasn't a straightforward ×2, but,
Jen, do you recall that?
well, one of
First,
them,
one of
one
the
of
two
them,
figures.
What was
yeah.
that again? I'm sorry. I was focusing on something else for a
One
minute.
more time, yeah.
Sorry,
Okay,
Mary.
this is concerning 86 Weston Road. And there's a statement in there about 138 square feet of structure being added, requiring 260 square feet of buffer, and those numbers don't go together for mitigation.
one isn't twice the other.
It would be 138 and 276, or 260 and 130.
I have to check the plans.
So, right,
again, yeah.
I
I'll check
don't-
the plans and
I don't know
and
what to make of
correct
that.
Okay.
And then the other thing is, there were a lot of orders voted, and they are reported in the order in which they were on the agenda. But the last one, 460 Grand Avenue, actually was taken first. I remember because it's the only one where I was on the quorum, and that's why we did that.
You got the whole room.
Right. So,
Is that a,
I think, so those are the only,
I don't know if that makes a difference or not.
I don't either. I do know when we table things, which I think we would have done, it usually gets recorded, but,
Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
okay. If it doesn't matter, that's, I'm fine with that.
Okay, so,
Just pass it down.
any
Yeah.
other comments or questions? Okay, I'll
Thank you.
entertain a motion.
Move,
To accept the minutes as discussed
second.
or amended.
So we have a motion by Jamie and a second by Mary to accept as discussed. Okay, any other comments or questions? Okay, hearing none, call for vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Abstentions unanimous, so moved. May 25th.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I have one correction, which is that in the RDA for Rothschild 3 Hamlin Point Road, it's in the middle of page 2, the staff's recommendation isn't there. So, we voted to accept it, but it doesn't say what it was.
3 Hamlin
I
Point.
have a copy of it.
3 Hamlin Point, yeah. Okay.
That's all that I have on that.
We'll send this one down to you too. Okay, any other comments, questions on the May 25th minutes?
Did anybody move it?
Did anybody make a motion?
No, that's what I'm looking for now.
Move to adopt it with that correction.
Second.
Motion by Mary, second by Mike. Okay, any comments, questions? Okay, call for the vote to accept the May 25th minutes. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. Abstentions?
One abstention, there wasn't there.
One abstention. Okay. Takes care of the minutes. Other business, review and vote on the Kelly Woodland Conservation Restriction. Jen?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, this is the property that is being acquired by the 300 Committee. This board will hold the CR on it. You all received a copy of the draft conservation restriction. Brendan, I think, can give you a brief overview of that. He is here for the Buzzards Bay Coalition and the 300 Committee. It's a pretty straightforward conservation restriction, one you've seen in this context many, many times.
Brendan Annette, Vice President, Buzzards Bay Coalition. This is a property on Seboisset Road that we're working together with the 300 Committee to acquire. In order to acquire it, the funding strategy involved community preservation funds be applied towards the purchase, and those will be applied towards the purchase through the purchase of a conservation restriction that will be held by the Conservation Commission on the property. The property, the total size of the property is a little bit over 3 acres. It's immediately across the street from the Flume Pond Conservation Area, and it immediately abuts BB Woods. So one of the drivers of this, besides protecting about 3 acres of habitat, including a small wetland complex that's on the property, and preventing the construction of a house on a house lot that's there, it actually provides a connection between BB Woods and Flume Pond, which actually extends out to the shoreline of Buzzards Bay. So a really interesting and an important conservation property, but also a really interesting opportunity for allowing people access to these important resources in town. I'm happy to answer any questions. It's pretty straightforward. The conservation restriction allows very little beyond the ability to put a small parking area that's limited to 5 cars, unpaved, which essentially would service the trails going up into BB Woods, and then obviously the ability to get across the street to go to the existing trails on Flume Pond where there is currently no parking.
So I move that we accept as presented.
Second.
Thank you, Betsy. So you've got a motion by Betsy and a second by Mary. Any other comments or questions from the commission?
Yeah, I have a comment.
Fire away, Betsy.
Just that I think this is a great purchase, and it's an exciting new, place to connectivity, and it's great.
It's something that I think will engage the community, certainly. Obviously, BB Woods does, so this is a backdoor to BB Woods.
Yep.
And a connection down to the water. Yep. Thank you, Betsy.
Anyone else? Any comments from the public? Okay. Call for the vote. Jen, you good?
Yep.
Right, call for the vote to accept
CR.
conservation restriction on Woodland. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Abstentions, unanimous, so moved.
Thank you, Brendan.
Thank you.
Jennifer so from here, it will go to the selectmen. It's also concurrently being reviewed by the state.
By the
Office
state,
of
yeah.
Environmental Affairs.
So we'll draft the municipal cert and have it signed at their next meeting.
Very good.
Okay.
Jessica, we'll work with you to
Yep.
get the signature. Very
Yep.
good. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next up is request for determination of applicability. Now, if you're here for this, what you want to hear is a negative determination, which means you can proceed with the project. So first up is Town of Falmouth, the Water Quality Management Committee, care of Cia Carplus, Bay Street between 131 and 138 Bay Street, and Rand Beach Road layout adjacent to 175 Chester Street, North Falmouth, Mass, for permission to install a 12-inch pipe containing carbon substrate such as wood chips and pump with a screen filter to pump water through the medium, all located within the existing riprap near the fish ladder. Jen?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, the staff is recommending a -2 under the state and the bylaw with the resource area boundaries not confirmed. Apparently, the pumping was discussed with Chuck Martinson, and he approved it, provided a screen is put over the opening to prevent fish from entering.
So moved.
Second.
So we have a motion by Courtney and a second by Maureen. Any other comments or questions from the board? Betsy?
Yeah, hi, Steve. I have a concern with this. I spent 2 hours with Steve Layton a month and a half ago, and this technique results in deoxygenated water. And this is a diagamous fish stream that the town just spent almost $1 million in doing a new, doing a new, doing a new fish ladder. So I'd be very concerned with this unless it was done when the fish aren't running.
So the project, there's,
Just give me your first
my
name
name is
for the
Sia
record.
Karplus, I'm the technical consultant to the Water Quality Management Committee. This is a very small pilot to test the efficacy of certain substrates for PRB materials. And one of the tests that will be run is the dissolved oxygen test. We're not sure that it deoxygenates the water. It's possible, but not necessarily shown in all cases, especially with PRBs. So that's one of the questions that we have. It's a small volume of water because it's a 12-inch pipe. It's a small test project. And the idea would be that if we're finding that there's anoxic water going in, we'd oxygenate it before we put it in. I think that would be a perfectly reasonable thing to do even for this test. And the timing of it is going to be in the fall. So it won't affect the herring. And July, there are fry that come up. So we were initially thinking this would start with a little mini grant, but we didn't get that mini grant. So this would be a fall project, probably September. Does that alleviate some of the fish running issues?
The person to ask would be Chuck.
Right, and he said July was the time that the fry run, and then the herring are obviously now, earlier.
Well, yeah, the herring are now, the fry, my understanding is the fry can be anywhere from now or next month or the month after through December. So,
Okay, that wasn't,
so, but he might have specifics, so I would be, I would like a little more discussion with Chuck. The other fish that I know he gets there are the glass eels. And so I understand what you're trying to do, but I'm a little bit concerned. I also talked to Virginia, because she told me, oh, there's going to be a pilot project, and I said, well, I would be concerned if a pilot project were run where there's a diagamous fish stream. And
okay.
she- and she said to
I
me-
had a very long conversation. I mean, I did talk to Chuck, obviously, before submitting the
But is he
idea.
aware of the fact that the oxygen levels?
We talked about that, the possibility, we did. But I can do it, I can talk to him again, if you want.
Yeah,
There's also another site that we have on this, which the reason we have 2 locations is because one site may be more of concern than the other. So the other site is the one off of, help me here, not Bay Street, it goes Rand's Canal, Rand's Beach Road.
Okay,
And so that was the other one, and there's a pipe actually there that goes through the stream, and I don't think there's any fish, anything there. In fact, I'm pretty sure there isn't. So have you ever seen that culvert that comes from
well, I've been out there.
Flax? It's kind of
We've
interesting.
had
There's,
projects out there, but
so it's
not for a couple of years.
Yeah, it's trout pond, and then there's a stream that really is just the wetlands. I mean, it's just wet. It's not really a stream, but
Yeah.
there's enough water flow where there's a waterfall that comes out of the pipe that goes under Rand's Beach Road, and so we thought that would be another potential location. The benefit of the Bay Street site is that it's town property, where the other one we would get permission from private landowners. So if you folks feel more comfortable with one site versus the other, and we can test, we could also do a test of dissolved oxygen if we found at the Bay Street site that there was an anoxic or a hypoxic water, like there's no DO in the water, we could stop the project there. But
Yeah,
I'm not
but that
sure
would
there's gonna be,
require-
I think there's gonna be plenty of aeration, frankly, because it's gonna come out of the pipe and get aerated.
I'm a little bit uncomfortable. I
Okay.
mean, and the other thing I'm uncomfortable with is you mentioned that you said if it was deoxygenated, you'd aerate it, but you're using a pump to pump the water through, you'd be using a pump to aerate it.
Well, you'd use the same pump. That's what you would do.
We have a pump requires energy, which, you
Yes.
know, if it's, most of our electricity, energy production produces nitrogen in the air too. So,
But the nitrogen in the air isn't the problem. We breathe
well,
it.
of course nitrogen in the air, nitrogen comes down in rain. That's a big source of nitrogen.
It's about 5% of the total nitrogen that goes into a place even like LaQuay Bay. I mean, if you
Well,
look at the
it is-
nitrogen budget,
I know,
we could all drive Priuses.
I've looked at the nitrogen budget. I mean, 5% is a significant amount. So I'm not opposed to these sample projects, but I am concerned about the fish. And I guess I would be more comfortable if you had to continue the hearing and talk more with Chuck and define the time of year when the fish won't be affected. I don't have a problem with this site, but I do have a problem if it impacts the fish.
Okay?
Do you want to make a motion to just continue it for more information?
Well, are you willing to continue it?
It would have to be continued until mid-July.
Well, they're not planning to do the project until the fall.
Right, we
I
initially
left my
thought,
calendar downstairs, I'm gonna have to run and get it, but see.
yeah,
see,
we
let me just bring
initially
up the
thought that we
calendar
were
real
gonna
quick.
get a mini grant to start something, to do a mini pilot in July. But that did not happen. So we'll find out about the full grant proposal that we submitted in mid-August, which would mean the start date wouldn't necessarily be till September. So there's plenty of time at this point and I'm gonna see Chuck tomorrow for other matters, and I'm certainly able to walk him through your concerns about the potential dissolved oxygen issue, and what times of year. So specifically, we want to get from Chuck what times of year.
Would be, I mean, it may be that at September, October, there may be a few juveniles going out, but they're just going right out.
But it's not a big
And
slug
that wouldn't be effect, right?
Yeah, and we also have to balance that with, we have to do this during warm weather. So it's a warm weather, because if you look at the MEP reports that track the nitrogen, I mean, atmospheric deposition is 5%. The amount going in from just this stream into Rand's Canal is like 30%. It's a very large, and it's nitrate, so it's the bioactive nitrogen. And so looking at some of these streams, especially in the Buzzards Bay side, is very important. In terms of getting bang for your buck, there's a pretty big benefit to try and denitrify in some of these
But
streams.
as I explained to you before, we're trying to improve
Absolutely.
habitat in the marine habitat, but we
Right.
don't want to affect our freshwater habitat by doing it.
No, and hopefully we'll do this in the estuary. So what I will specifically talk to Chuck about are the times of year, hopefully the fall,
Yeah, and he
that
knows
are
about the
minimal
behavior, he knows
fish.
about the behavior of the fish. I mean,
Right.
the fish might just be,
According
they
to
want to
him,
get out to
does.
sea and they might just go right through
And it may not bother
a
them.
bad area and it might not bother them.
Right.
But I would just be more comfortable if you
Sure,
talked to
absolutely,
him.
no problem.
Mr. Chairman,
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, I
Gordon, do
think.
you have something?
Yeah, I do. I appreciate that Betsy seems to understand this project. I'm not a scientist, I'm just a poor contractor. I have no idea what this is about. I have no idea where the water's coming from, where it's going, what you're doing with it. And
That's
I
why
think
I'm
it's
here, to
important,
answer
hold
these
on.
questions.
I think it's important when you're presenting projects to this commission, that you give us an overview first. Because I'm sitting here in the dark. Where is the water coming from? Where's it going? What are we doing to it? And why is this important or
Hang
not?
on just a second, it's an RDA, and that's
It's
what
an
staff
RDA,
does, so.
staff does.
they
Well, that's
review
fine,
plans.
but we need that information.
Yep.
I don't care whether it comes from Jen or it's put in front of us, but I'm absolutely in the dark.
Okay, see, if
Can I
you
take a
could
minute?
give
So I
him
want
a
a
brief overview.
30-second overview.
Well, I run downstairs and get a calendar.
Excellent.
Brief overview,
Jen-
Mr. Bird.
I have a calendar.
No, I need a specific one. I
While
need to know
we're
what
figuring
year
out the
you-
calendar, you
22nd.
could give us a 30-second overview.
30-second overview. I think the big picture is that the stream nitrogen, the nitrogen that is coming into the heads of the estuaries from freshwater streams are shown from the MEP reports to be a significant fraction of the total load. So, and it's nitrate. So the effort is to look at PRBs in general to see if PRBs can be placed
Explain what PRBs are.
permeable reactive barriers, the either trenches or injection,
Okay.
in this case it's trenches, that basically the groundwater comes in to these streams and it's laden with nitrates from our septic systems. It will go through a PRB that's a carbon source, and the bacteria, it's basically the wee beasties are in there, and they nitrify and they denitrify, and then the nitrogen goes off into nitrogen
So
gas.
the water is coming from, this is groundwater.
In this particular case, the water is coming from the actual stream.
Cedar Lake.
Okay, from Cedar Lake.
From Cedar Lake,
So
and the
you're
pl-
gonna,
and the
all
stream
this
that comes
water
down.
from Cedar Lake is
So
gonna
we're
go
gonna
through
divert
this
into a
pipe, and
12-inch
then it'll be,
pipe
life will be beautiful.
and test before and after, because it's a very good way to quickly ascertain the percentage of denitrification that these different carbon materials
Okay.
provide. That's all we're doing, and we're using a pump because we want to control the flow. And if we need to, we can then use it to aerate the water if it goes anoxic or hypoxic or whatever it might do.
So now I understand why Betsy has a concern about energy usage. Thank you.
So while you're there, I have another question. You say it's just.
And we're gonna have a PV and a battery. By the way, the energy used for this particular project is enough that can be powered by one single PV panel and a battery.
Thank you.
Low energy.
Because that was my question. That was another question I had. You said that 12-inch pipe, I was thinking, the question I asked you about, what is the flow of 50 gallons a minute, and just think of a 50-gallon pail filling up in a minute. So what percent of the water coming in the stream is going to be siphoned off in this 12-inch pipe?
Well, less than 1%, very small amount. And it depends on the flow. So right now, it's flowing pretty hard. So by time and volume, by the flux, if you will, it would be a very small percentage. I'd have to redo the calculation, frankly, if it's in September where it may be drier. So we'd have to look at it in terms of compared to the flow. Do you understand what I'm saying?
I understand exactly the question I'm asking, and what I'm getting is you don't know exactly what.
But we knew for July, we don't know for September.
Okay.
But you can't do it in July.
But we
Because
can't
you
do
didn't
it in
get the
July,
grant.
because we didn't get the grant. So
So
we're
you
now,
have to recalculate anyway.
to recalculate it would probably be on the order of 2%.
Like,
Iron concentration in the stream pump?
Which
Iron concentration in the stream.
it has not been measured. That is one of the parameters that we are going to measure, absolutely.
Yeah,
So this is
when you change the pH, you can change the iron form and get some rusty-looking water coming out of the pipe.
I mean, that's one of the problems with PRVs, right?
But that's because the iron is in an adsorbed state on the sand. And then as the plume that comes off of the PRB hits the iron that is in the sand, like on the beach at Wacoit. And that only happened for the first couple of years. It stopped really after 2 years. I don't know if we were aware of that, but we had looked into that a little further.
Well, we've certainly seen enough,
The-
I've seen enough iron fouling
Mhm.
just in groundwater when you change the pH,
Sure.
that you get all this oxide color.
And then it has to
You'll
reabsorb.
see it, so you certainly have the opportunity to stop it,
Yeah.
but I think some measuring so that we have some.
We would want to know the iron content, but it won't be in an adsorbed state to reprecipitate if it's in the water, the way it is in sand, is all I'm suggesting. And there's not iron in the carbon source. So the water would go into the carbon source. I'm just thinking about this. And wouldn't change form necessarily because it wasn't being desorbed from the
You're
sand.
gonna change the oxygen content going through the PRB.
We're gonna find out what kind of change we are doing. There should be change.
If you change the oxygen content, isn't the pH altered?
Should.
And if it alters, you can drive the iron out of water.
But if it's in a form,
Do you know what
That's-
form it's in?
that's what I'm saying, I don't even know if it's there or not. I mean, I'm asking you why you would think it would be there, I'm just curious, why, I mean, I understand in groundwater-based PRBs that you've got lots of iron in the sand that is then basically
Released.
flushed with deoxygenated water, and that's why the iron dissociates from the particles and then recombines. So what would you suggest the pathway would be if it's in water?
Now I'm gonna really show, my background is civil engineering, exactly why iron shows up in groundwater when you pump it.
Yeah, it's
I'm
in
not
the
against
sand.
It is attached to the sand, it's dissolved. I'm not sure of the chemistry, I just know that I've seen plenty of iron show up. So that if you're running this test,
We should test
you're
for
gonna
iron.
measure for it, so I guess. we're
Absolutely, yeah,
okay. But I'm sitting here as a civil
Iron,
engineer
manganese.
saying, for different reasons, I'm with Betsy that should think about the test.
Absolutely.
So when can we continue this?
July 13th?
At the request, is that okay with you?
Do we
Absolutely.
already have
We
a
have a
motion?
motion and a
So,
second.
We do.
was that you, Courtney?
And we have a date.
So do you wanna,
Withdraw.
So I'm moving to continue this until what, the 16th?
Wait a minute.
well, do you wanna,
You
you
have to
gotta
withdraw
withdraw your
first,
original
Courtney.
motion.
I'm not sure I did make the.
Yes, you did.
Yeah.
I seconded it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So withdraw your
What
motion,
if I made it, I'll withdraw it.
and I will withdraw my second.
Okay.
And then I will make a motion to continue this to July
13th.
13th.
Second.
Okay, so we have a motion by
that's right.
Maureen, second by Betsy.
Thank you, Sia.
Courtney's was
July.
originally, well.
All right, thank you.
And I will make sure that those two concerns, the fish season and a little more on the
Iron.
iron.
Thank you.
Any other comments from the questions or comments from the public? Okay, hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Abstentions, unanimous, so moved.
Thanks, Sia.
No problem, July 16th.
No,
13.
13th.
Thank you.
Okay, next up is a request for a hearing under a notice of intent. All hearings of the Falmouth Conservation Commission are held simultaneously under the authorities of Massachusetts Wetland Protection Act and the Falmouth Wetlands Bylaw. Although a single decision of the commission is issued, it represents a separate decision under each authority. And first up is William Bacardi, Lot 5, Heads Lane, Falmouth, Mass, with permission to conduct Japanese knotwood control through herbicidal applications to install a native shrub buffer and wildflower / native grass seed buffer and the associated clearing, excavating, grading, and landscaping. Jen?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I'll save any of my questions or comments until after Tom's presentation.
Good evening, Tom.
Good evening. For the record, my name is Tom Bunker with DSS Design. We prepared this plan for Bill Bacardi, the owner of the property. It's Lot 5. Bill is with us here tonight to answer if there are any questions I can't answer. He has, there's a vacant lot, except there's a gazebo and a small deck area by Fresh River. You can back up a little. This property fronts on Fresh River, which is somewhat tidal. It is in flood zone AE elevation 12. The ground there is right elevation 2 to 5. It's fairly flat. Formerly all, I suppose, lawn area. a fringe wetland along the river with alder, predominantly alder trees. Marking the edge are some other native trees, some sumac and whatever along the edge of the river also. And a large, 3,200 and some square feet of Japanese knotweed, which we would like to remove. An herbicide application. There's a methodology in here prepared by Politan Ecological Services. We said they'll do it in August as the optimal time for the treatment with a herbicide rodeo, which is approved for near wetland applications. I think the main method they'll use is a stem injection, which they say is while the stems are tall and growing, injecting the herbicide at 100% concentration into the stem or into the base of the stem. So when it starts to die off, I think we say not within 4 weeks, and they'll remove the dead and dying stems. And that's to be in August of this year. In September, a follow-up treatment to the knotweed. Then in November, removing any other dead material. And it goes into 2017, so basically going into late August, September of 2018 with site visits and spot treatments to get a good control of it. There'll be a root barrier installed along the property line right here. Some of this knotweed does go over onto the next property, so the only way to keep it from coming back and losing all that hard work is put in the root barrier to keep it from encroaching back in. After that, mowing and small spot applications should be able to keep it down. There's also a small amount of it over by this gazebo. Somehow it colonized over there also, so that will be taken out. The proposal here is a 10-foot barrier of native shrubs, a buffer rather of native shrubs along the edge of the river and wetland. And while those are taking root, or as the knotweed is dying off, plant with native grass and wildflower mix. But the intent is for what was lawn, inland of the 10 feet to be reverted back to lawn, following the town nutrient. Falmouth Code Chapter 237, the nutrient loading bylaw. Have it written down here somewhere. And your regulations, no irrigation, no permanent irrigation would be approved in there. So I don't know, other than reading this, I don't know all the specifics of it, but Politan Services does know how to do it properly. And that is what is being proposed. So any questions?
Jen?
Yes, just a quick question, well, two quick questions. Why, Tom, is it only a 10-foot buffer to the river?
Well, that's what we're proposing. Actually, I had suggested that to Politan, and I thought that they had talked with you. They got back to me to show a 10-foot wide buffer.
Okay. It's quite a plant list they have for the 10-foot wide buffer, so what I'll do is I'll probably just pick a few of them. They have a very substantial plant list that's not all gonna fit in there or do well.
I have a shorter list on the plan
Yeah.
than what they have.
Yeah, and they have in there, so, okay, that's fine. That's all I have.
Thank you, Jen. Courtney?
No questions.
Kristen?
They do not how to properly do this, so I did have a discussion with them today.
That's the same company's gonna be?
Yeah.
They do a lot of work in town.
Basically, Mr. Chairman, your order of conditions will basically say that they are the sole entity that can operate under this plan, under this order of conditions, unless you pre-approve a different, you do that when someone presents a plan to you, someone presents a narrative to you, you have a certain comfort level with a particular company. The orders are written that that company shall be the sole entity unless, you know, you get pre-approval over, if the company is switched up for whatever reason, that you get pre-approval and presented a new plan by that particular company.
You all set, Kristen?
Yeah.
Maureen?
The only thing that I would have to recommend is that they will probably be back after 3 years, because knotweed is not easily eradicated. I mean, I know places where they've been trying for 15 years. It's probably one of the most aggressive invasives there is. And I commend them for trying to attack this, and I would hope that the neighbor would maybe follow suit, because, you know, it just,
I'm sure Bill will
it's a
keep an eye
seed
on
source
it and notify
and-
people if it's coming back up to
so-
get some spot treatments in the future.
So, and it's an expensive procedure, I know that, so. But other than that, again, with Politan, I feel comfortable. I'm not a big herbicide person, but there's not much else you can do with it.
Thanks, Maureen. Mike?
You had knotweed coming through the floor of the gazebo. I'm showing you how.
Was it coming through the floor?
It's going to bleed right through between the floor.
Froze into foundation.
Weeds,
Yeah.
I don't know, is that not weed? I can't tell what not weed from pine.
You got plenty of it there.
You know, the datum on the plan
It's
is
NAVD.
an ADD. We can just not, we'll just note that. I don't think we need to redo the plan.
Yeah, it's not noted here, but it is on the
Okay,
NAVD.
that's fine. I mean,
Betsy?
I want you all to notice the gazebo, because I like the gazebo. It's kind of like a coliseum that I'm thinking about
Couldn't miss
for the
every
Kuna method. So I like the gazebo.
It floated over there from Hurricane Bob. It wasn't there.
Oh, it did?
Yeah.
Oh.
Couldn't be moved back.
In England, if they have a law that if there's any knotweed, they're not allowed to do any building or put in any foundations for something like 10 years or something after, if there's presence of knotweed, because it'll grow right through. You can see it over by Depot Ave, it's growing
yeah.
right through the
Pavement.
pavement. But anyway, I'm thrilled. I hate, knotweed and bittersweet are right at the top of my list.
Well, you
Things
know,
I don't
and
like.
if there's a law, I was thinking there should be, the town should adopt a policy through the DPW somehow to ensure that loam is not used that has knotweed in it.
Yeah.
That pops up everywhere that the town does work.
Everywhere.
Oh, because they,
Everywhere.
you know
Water
what, they
mains,
probably use the soil from, that you
Any
always tell people not to get.
Any recycled soil.
Yeah.
there should be some way of ensuring that it's not spread like that.
We should say something, because it's terrible. I mean, you've got a beautiful monoculture of it there, but
We were just asked by the water superintendent to do something and to put loam down. I said, yeah, as long as it doesn't come from,
blacksmith shop.
yeah, as long as it doesn't come
But
from the
this
stump dump,
is
I'm
a great
fine.
project, and it's a lovely area down there.
We love
It'd
it.
be nice.
We've been there for 30-something years. We're very lucky.
Yep. That's all.
That's a good point, Tom.
I don't
I'm
have
actually
any-
gonna craft an email. Yeah, that's a good point.
That's important.
I don't have any questions, but in response to the question Jen raised about why the 10 feet, there is a statement in the narrative about the value of repeated mowing, so exhausting the rhizomes. So the more lawn,
Well, it does.
yes. That's all for me.
Thanks, man. Jim?
No questions.
I just have,
I just have one quick. At what point in sequencing, you're gonna, it sounds like you've got about a 2-year project just guaranteeing you got rid of the knotweed. So at what point do you start planting all of this? Because, I mean, it seems like if you plant it too soon, that you're gonna be tearing it up while you come back
I
in to
think
do
that if-
knotweed stuff.
I think if they plant the grass wildflower mix down there to get, get cover and, root structure in there before planting the shrubs, and I'm not sure if it was in
I think
there,
it's sequenced in there.
but is it in there?
It's after test
It's
6.
after that, I mean, it's a year and a half or
It's
something.
after September 2018.
The whole methodology, well written.
Is it after all of that?
Yes, I believe so.
But I think it's,
The only thing I'd like to comment, and because we know how things spread, but the town also, not to pick on the town, but they have that compost pile that people go in and they shovel it, and it never gets heated up where it kills any of the weed seed. And every time I see people there, and it's just like you're just bringing Phragmites and knotweed and bittersweet, and it's just being brought to all areas of town. And it's free and it's there, and so,
I've never touched the stuff.
yeah, beware, because it moves. Thank you.
I move to close the hearing and take it under advisement.
Second.
The motion by Betsy, the second by Mary. Any other comments, questions? Comments, questions from the public? Okay, hearing none, call for the vote, close the hearing, take it under advisement. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. Abstentions, unanimous, so moved.
Good luck.
Good luck.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tom.
Okay, next up is Lisa Kavanaugh, 18 Hotel Street, East Falmouth, Mass. Permission to install native shrub plantings, allow wetland area grasses to remain unmowed, maintain a temporary irrigation system, and the associated clearing, excavating, grading, and landscaping. Jen?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I will save any of my comments until the applicant's presentation.
Okay, thank you. So Lisa Kavanaugh, 18 Hotel Street, and I have with me Angela Tanner from Repose Landscape. And we have submitted an NOI to propose to restore the wetlands and to plant in the wetlands. It appears that they had previously been altered, and we are seeking to replant there. So I'm Angela Tanner from Repose Landscape, and we did the planting plan, which consists of this darker green area, which is a shrub buffer. We're proposing to do 3 different types of shrubs: Iva frutescens, Rosa palustris, and Myrica gale, and create a buffer in between the lawn and this lighter green area over here is part of the wetland that had been mowed. The lighter green area we would like to allow to grow back naturally. There are grasses and sedges in there, and if we don't disturb the soil, we're thinking that they would be better off. So the shrub buffer would prevent any more mowing from occurring. And then we would also like, possibly in the future, to plant some inkberry along this street, but as Lisa has told me, there might actually be concrete under the location that I have it proposed, so maybe we need to push it back a little bit, but.
I believe there was an old sidewalk there that
Oh,
has
okay.
since been covered by grass, but we'll have to evaluate that.
Okay.
Poke through and see.
Pardon?
Poke down there and see.
Yeah.
Okay, Jen?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, Ms. Kavanaugh submitted this NOI at the request of basically the staff. We've gone out there to review another project on the property, like a small project for a deck covering. Noticed the wetland. There had been substantial alteration prior to the Kavanaughs purchasing the property. I believe her husband just kept mowing the area that he thought was grass. It was actually a wetland, and unfortunately, we have to take action on that. So I don't even think this went through the normal enforcement issue. We've just been working with the property owner to get this resolved. I will agree with the concept of making the shrub border and allowing the wetland area to regrow, because there are sedges and rushes and little forbs coming up in there, and we'll give it a chance and see if that will regenerate itself. I have no problem with that. I'd like to put like a monitoring component on it so that if it doesn't regrow, as hoped. We can supplement it with a few shrubs. So I'm okay with the wetland restoration part. I am okay with the inkberry going down the border to give you some privacy along that road. That's fine. And if inkberry doesn't work out, you can always talk to us for another shrub material or tree material. The only thing, Tom, the plan on BSS Design, LEC did not flag this wetland. We have a, no, Brad Hall did.
Brad Hall, that's right, that.
So I need a revised plan just stating that the wetland was flagged by Brad Hall and not LEC, just to correct it. It's just a typo. It's not a big deal. So, other than that, we're happy to see the plan come in and get this issue resolved out there.
Thanks, Jim.
Okay?
Jamie?
No questions?
Mary?
No questions.
Oh, I think it'll be a good project when it's done.
Mike?
No questions?
No question?
Kristen? Courtney?
I move that we close the hearing and take it under advisement.
Second.
Easy
Got a
peasy.
motion by
Thank you,
Betsy,
Angela.
and a
Thank you, Ms.
second by
Kavanaugh.
Courtney.
Thank you.
Any other comments, questions? Commission? None? Comments, questions from the public? Okay, here are none, call for the vote. All those in
Propose it.
favor say aye.
Aye.
All those
Propose the
opposed, no.
landscaping.
Abstentions unanimous, so moved. Very good.
I'm happy to see that one come in. Is it-
Okay, next is a request to amend the existing order of conditions.
We do, very.
Okay, first up is Jeffrey and Jessica Fiedler, 44 Falmouth Place, Falmouth, Mass. Request to amend the existing order of conditions, DEP 25-3953, to approve the proposed amended plan with a minor dimensional changes to conform to the new FEMA map and elevation data. Yeah.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I'll save any of my comments until after. Thank you, Courtney. Mike's presentation.
Mike.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. My name is Michael Borselli, and I represent the applicant. I have reduced copies of that. Would you like me to pass these out? So,
Please, thank
I
you.
want a color one.
You want one too?
Yeah, I want a color one.
someone share, because I'm
Yeah.
We'll
Yeah.
share.
We'll share.
We'll share.
Thank you.
Well, we-
Look at him. Everybody gets a color one but Jen.
And why not?
You always
thought I'd be
get-
absent going once.
Yeah, I'm always,
You know what, Mike,
Happy
I don't
to
need
sit
one.
up
Give one for
Now I
them.
got
No,
plenty.
no,
People
just give
share.
one for them. I'm fine. You and I went over this. No.
You folks have previously
commented
issued
on
an
that.
order of conditions on this property. It is expiring in October of this year, so further along on the agenda is a request for an extension. An order of conditions was issued, and the amendments are, I believe, minor in nature. First off, when it was issued, it was prior to July 16th, 2014, and that's the date that the FEMA maps changed. So we had to update the plan to reflect the new flood zones. It doesn't change the project. There was a flood zone on the property prior, it's just a different elevation now. So the building has to be adjusted slightly in elevation to meet your requirement for 1 foot above the base flood elevation. When they changed the flood maps, they changed the datum system from NGVD to NAV 88, so we changed the datum system on the plan to be consistent with the FEMA elevations referenced on the FEMA maps. There's a couple of minor dimensional changes in the building, but it's effectively the same building. It is outside of the no disturbance zone A's. If you remember, we discussed the patio originally, which is right against the limit of work, but since it's not a structure, you allowed it. to be there because the maintenance on a patio there really is no maintenance on a patio. So we think the plan is basically the same. It's effectively just to update it for FEMA, and they fine-tune the architectural plan slightly. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thanks, Mike. Jen?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, no additional mitigation is required because of the Zone A, and I'm just gonna go on record saying I still don't like the zero limit of work against the patio, but you approved it before, so, yeah, I'm comfortable with it here, so.
Mike?
No question.
Maury?
What is the patio made of? I wasn't here for this one.
Bluestone slabs.
Okay. What is the first floor elevation, because that's not on the plan?
The minimum it can be is 14. I'm working with the architect right now. He wants to make it 15. So we weren't able to specify it. We talked about making it 15 because you can't really get into the crawl space if it's 14 with the structural members. So we're actually going to raise it another foot, we think, but it'll be no lower than 14.
All right, and then the next, just a comment. You have existing trees, you're showing existing, and then you also have proposed 6-foot-tall eastern red cedars, 4 typical. But in your legend, you're saying that the existing trees, which is a circle with a dot, are deciduous, and the cedars are deciduous. And I'm assuming that the 4 that are along there are the 4 you're proposing?
Yes.
I'm gonna look, I think it's to the east?
Yes.
Okay.
We're proposing them, I apologize for that confusion.
Did you have a multi-trunk deciduous at the bottom in the southeast corner?
Right.
It says multi-trunk deciduous?
Yes.
But then you're saying there's gonna be a cedar there, so what happens to the multi-trunk deciduous?
We're gonna plant 4 eastern red cedars along that area as, I guess would be mitigation for some past sins of the previous owner. We're not gonna plant one near the multi-trunk deciduous tree, that's remaining. There were also some paths and historical clearing. So that cross-hatched area is our proposal to fill the buffer back in and bring it back to a natural state. So there's no intent to cut any.
Okay, I was just concerned that the cedars are planted literally on the lot line. So, you know, they should be moved in, and the one down by the multi-trunk moved up. Or put somewhere else, maybe in the other corner of the buffer that you're planting.
They can be shifted.
We can condition that.
It's not like there's a view or anything, so that's very reasonable.
Yep, thank you.
Kristen?
When was this plan originally for the board?
The order was issued in October of 2013.
Oh, okay.
The order originally.
Look at this. Look at the rainbow.
It's a rainbow.
Look at the rainbow. Oh, I'm sorry.
Sorry, there's a rainbow.
Oh, my goodness.
Yes,
I kind of.
It's a pretty one.
it is a beautiful one with the flag. You really should go look at it.
Everybody should
Honestly,
really
you should go
actually
look
go
at it.
look
The
at
it.
flag
Very pretty.
is pretty amazing.
2013.
Well, you're on shade up.
Oh my gosh.
It is quite the
If
rainbow.
anybody has a phone, you should go take a picture of that. Seriously. Look at that. With the American flag, is that?
30-second recess. 30-second recess.
Yeah, go take a picture outside.
That is gorgeous.
I'm going outside.
The colors are so distinct.
Oh, yeah.
have it in, that's why.
Yes.
There, see, we do have fun at our meetings.
There's,
Don't say this straight, 'cause I
no,
won't-
no, it's, that's reflecting is the problem.
Nice job on the special.
I know how to distract.
She saved you for a bad hearing.
You better hurry, because she's coming in, the boss is back.
Who's, somebody,
Well, it's a beautiful rainbow.
And to think this is on camera.
all right.
Right.
Now, there might
Okay,
be bright
we all
spots
set
in our
with the meeting?
meetings.
All right.
No, we wanna watch it from
I know.
What do you want, a bunch of tree huggers?
Okay, I'll call the meeting back to order.
Never thought of it that way.
Okay. No, I'll talk to
You're
Peter
welcome, Maureen.
and Scott about that.
You made my day.
I'll get a hold of her tomorrow and talk to her about that.
Kristen, you're all set?
What year was it that this originally?
13.
Okay,
Yes.
so,
September 11th, 13th.
and it's just is it being started, or is it?
It hasn't started, that's why we were concerned. They had some life got in the way, baby was born, another one's on the way, they had to delay the project. And then they discovered about the flood zones changing, so they're gonna start construction very soon. They're eager to start construction.
So did they need a continuance?
They're gonna ask for an extension
Yeah,
also.
just
Okay.
further on.
For the
the
bridge.
agenda.
Oh,
Separate
you
matter.
did say that, thank you. Okay, no,
Okay,
no
Courtney?
further questions.
No questions.
Thank you. Betsy?
I have a question, Mike. You said that there are just minor changes. Can you tell me the square footage change?
I didn't bring the other plan.
Can you give me a guess of what it might be?
Yes, I can tell you that, they changed the covered porch, and they have a second-story deck with stairs. I believe the footprint change in area is under 3% total increase.
We're into the below 5%, every question I ask today. So, just a request to you, in the future, could you have that answer ready to give?
Actually,
Yes.
Mike, if you could put if you could superimpose the two, it would make it helpful for them.
Yeah.
Or submit maybe another document within the notice of intent that superimposes the two so they can clearly see the revisions.
You don't happen to have the whole plan, do you?
No,
'Cause I can-
yeah, it's probably right in front of them.
Here?
Yeah, it's in the back of that file, but still, they should be able
Yeah, I'm
to.
sorry.
Yeah,
clearly
Yeah, I don't want you
be
to
able to
dig through.
see.
If it was, we could look quickly, there's always a lot coverage
Yeah.
calculation, but I didn't bring the whole plan.
Yeah, in
I mean,
this case, it
the
doesn't-
house is bent a little bit, they have a second-story
Yeah.
deck, a
I mean, in
staircase.
this case, it's not critical because where it is and it doesn't make any difference to mitigation.
Mhm.
But just in general,
Sure, we'll do.
It would be
Yeah,
helpful to them.
well, anyway, here's
Yeah,
the lot
especially for those of
coverage.
us that
You can
want-
compare it to the previous one, since we're not talking about location.
then that's all I have.
Mary?
No questions.
Jamie?
Are we addressing the extension as well?
No, that's later on in the hearing.
Well, that's what I thought he said, but it says in the application.
It's later on the agenda.
Later on in
It's
the
on the
agenda.
I'm sorry. Skip that step.
Okay,
Thank you.
any other questions or comments? Oh, what's your pleasure?
I'll close the hearing to get everybody.
Second.
We have a motion by Maureen, a second by Jamie to close the hearing, take it under advisement. Any other comments or questions? Comments or questions from the public? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say
This is the new one?
No, that's everything. Parking, paving, is that what
Oh,
you're looking
what's,
for? That's structures.
oh.
Second
so
story
what's
deck, the
now?
staircase,
All right,
and the house
Was
is
it
kind of like,
it's 5% more. Well, it's 5% more for the second.
Because it was 16% lot coverage, and now what is it? It's 16 now, what was it then?
21, I think. Is that right? No, I'm sorry, that's with everything, not just structures.
Structures was 16.4%.
It says now, between 16 and 20, do you call?
You actually
No,
have,
it
it's
says-
less,
Less than.
It's less than
lower,
20. That's what-
fewer square feet.
That shows you how well, good my memory is.
That's not between?
You didn't say
Equals-
Well,
that.
there's two notes on
Between
the plan.
16
Are you
and
looking
20?
at
No,
the
the total
21
is
and the
16%, which is less than 20.
Oh,
20 is the
okay.
maximum
Gotcha.
allowed,
Yep, yep.
and then the full coverage is
Yep.
40.
The 21% is overall lot coverage with
Yeah,
pavement.
but you went from 2467 to
2,400.
2,400, so it's 67 square feet less. Reduced.
Thank you.
But we're not giving you credit for that.
Reduced.
Okay.
So that can continue now? All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, no. Abstentions, unanimous, so moved.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So much for concrete simple.
All right. Nino and Grace Federico, 157 Shorewood Drive, East Falmouth, Mass, for permission to amend the existing condition of order, DEP 25-4174, to move the house south by 20 feet to save the oak, remove the requirement for a scarlet oak replacement, and have the new structure no closer to the salt marsh and the associated clearing, excavating, grading, and landscaping. Jen?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, this is coming in as an amendment. I'm going to help Mr. Federico out because your order of conditions stated that the deck that they had originally shown on the proposed plan needed to be cut back so that it was no closer than the existing house, not the house with the deck, because they couldn't, the deck was, built after the structure and without a permit. We could not find any valid permits for it. So when you issued the order of conditions, you made a requirement that the deck could only be, I think it shifted it like 3 feet, so the deck have to be shifted. And after going through several different design, the design wasn't gonna work. Also, listening to the board's concern about the oak tree that we had, I think, about a 15-minute discussion on, the Federicos decided to shift the house so that the deck made more sense aesthetically, and also saves the oak, which alleviates some of the concerns from the board. So it addresses your order of conditions, is what I'm trying to say.
And then some.
And then some.
Thank you.
Would you like to add anything?
Well, thank you, that sums it right up. It's a tough act to follow with that rainbow, but it sure is. At 1 a.m., if you look out your window, you'll see the northern lights if you look to the north.
Okay.
Okay, so, I mean, Jennifer just summed it up.
Just give your name, please, for the.
This is Nino Federico.
Thank you.
Grace Federico, my wife, and I are the owners of this property. And we're submitting a request for an amendment to the order of conditions to move the house 20 feet laterally as indicated in red, which is the house there. And the dotted red, which is a little harder to see, is the deck. And the little circle on the right is the 24 caliper inch oak tree that we would save by doing all of this. And the print also does not show the 4 caliper inch oak trees that we had originally put on the plan for mitigation of that tree. So basically, as Jennifer said, this is what we're trying to do, is just move the house over.
Move the house over and address your order of conditions, which required a reconfiguration of the deck.
Right.
Which when in the original house location, I guess, it just wasn't gonna work.
Right.
So,
And no part of that structure is closer than 69 and a half
Yep.
feet to the marsh.
Thank you. You all set, Jen?
I'm all set, I've already gone over the plan with them.
Betsy?
I'm thrilled.
Thank
I'm
you.
the one who liked that oak tree.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's a beautiful spot.
Yes, it is.
Be great.
Yeah.
Mary?
No questions.
Jamie?
Good.
Just clarification, the 6 scarlet oaks are being removed.
They were being,
That was mitigation.
they were being used as mitigation for the
That was the
removal of the 24-inch
issue we
oak,
had.
which is not gonna be removed anymore.
I'm good.
But there is substantial mitigation required for the project anyway,
Thank you.
so that's not changing.
Right.
Good.
Thank you, Jamie. Mike?
No questions?
Maury?
No questions, thank you for saving the
Thank you.
tree.
Thank you.
Kristen?
No.
No. Wendy?
I move that we close the hearing and take it under advisement.
Second.
Second.
That's great.
Motion by Betsy and a second by Mike. Any other comments or questions from the board? Comments, questions from the public? Hearing none, call for a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. Abstentions, unanimous, so moved. Very good.
Doesn't take much to make.
Next up is Peter and Cynthia DeRosa, 83 Gunning Point Ave, Falmouth, Mass. For permission to amend the existing order of conditions, DEP 25-4133, to increase the house and driveway footprint, increase native mitigation plantings for the increase in footprint, and the associated clearing, excavated grading, and landscaping. Jen?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I'll save any of my questions until after Tom's presentation.
Good evening.
Good evening, Tom.
Tom Bunker with BSS Design. We did get an order of conditions for this project under a different name, PEC, last fall, I believe. And now there's a new order, the new architect designed a new house. Go over briefly, this is on the north side of Flume Pond. Gunning Point Avenue here, Flume Pond, there's a bordering wetland. It's in a flood zone, there's a velocity zone down here, and an A zone, partway up the bank, top of coastal bank in this area. It was all, I have this this plan showing the previously approved and what we're proposing now. This actually had there was a house on here before, in this location, and the previous plan was drawn to be no closer than the existing house, and this one is drawn to be no closer than what was approved. Went back to the original existing house on here for the mitigation calculations. The house did increase by about 600 square feet. Previously, there was a smaller driveway, and it was considered to be paved. We now have a larger driveway. There's one going into the end of the garage, like the approved one went into the end of the garage. They also have a circular driveway. We now have that shown as a pervious driveway. So it is about 600 square feet bigger. We have increased the planting by 1,030 square feet more. Basically, the house got bigger. It's about 10 or 12 feet longer in this direction, and the garage got twisted over at an angle, and there's a little bit more substance to the garage where it's connected. We do have the calculations there. As I said, 1,000 square feet more planting, staying 10 feet away from the building with the planting. All of the increase by structure in the A zone, all the mitigation required by A zone expansion is planted in the A zone as required. Previously, we had 2 trees, now we have 3,000 and some square feet, so we have 3 native trees proposed in this location. So that is what we are proposing. I'll entertain your questions.
Thank you, Tom. Jen?
You're stating no closer, Tom, because I don't have any shots on here from this, so you're saying it's moving. This one's not moving any closer than the original one.
That's correct. I can get you something for it.
Yeah,
It's,
okay. That would be helpful. Okay, that's fine.
Mike?
No question.
Maura?
Just that in your lawn area shall be established and maintained, and when we deliberate, it'll be that no fertilizer within 100 feet, not Falmouth friendly.
Yeah, I guess I still had the Falmouth friendly
Yeah, I
note
know,
on
but
here, but it's supposed to be
all of
the town code thing and not
Yeah.
that, but yes.
That was all.
Thanks, Maureen. Kristen?
So there's nothing being removed as far as trees? I don't see that on the plan. I mean, there's a hickory right near the house that's staying.
There was, under what was approved, I did show the trees in there, what was previously approved, that's actually, the house has been taken down and the lot has been cleared. But beyond
Okay.
what was the limit of work approved previously, there are no trees being removed.
Okay, so, okay. Thank you.
What's that, Kristen?
Yes.
Claudia?
On the square footage increase, how much of that is actual footprint? As opposed to, like, I mean, is the increase, is that the increase in the footprint of the house? Or is it the increase in space inside?
Footprint.
And if so, if it's space inside, which could be second floor space,
No, it's-
whatever, how much is the
It's
increase?
footprint.
It's footprint,
667
okay,
square feet.
thank you. No other questions?
Thanks, Mary?
No questions.
Jamie?
I have no questions.
I missed one thing. I can't believe I missed it. The big difference too is the retaining wall.
Yes, along the side of the driveway because of
Okay,
the,
so it's just a whole.
there is a retaining wall, there's some fill going along the side here. The retaining wall to keep the fill up against the house and steps going down to the lower level. So the fill won't spread out.
Yeah, it says an 18-inch thick wall, it's a thick wall. Is it a poured concrete wall? Or
Supposed to
stone
be
wall?
18-inch high.
It says 18-inch thick.
I know.
The two-stone block.
Let's say 18-inch, it's, no, well, I think it's probably some concrete with stone facing around it. Make the
Thank you.
Motion by Betsy and a second by Lori to close the hearing, taking on the vote. Any other comments, questions? Comments, questions from the public? Yes, sir. You have to go up to the, thank you.
George Germanis, and with 86 Canyon Point, which is direct of the place in question. And I would like to ask, what is the total square footage of the previous approved home to the current one? The total square footage.
Tom can give you that.
I can use that I mean, just footprint area, not floor area.
The total square footage of the house, footprint, the size, and, you know, the height. I mean, what is the square footage?
Yeah, I don't know about the height, but the footprint
Okay,
is, it's 2663 plus
667.
1724 is 4387.
is that the current one or the
That's
previous one?
this proposed.
And what is the previous one?
It was about 600 feet less than that. It was 2301 and 1485 is 3786.
Versus, what is that here?
So it's 600 square feet.
600 square feet. Okay. And it was moved from where to where because I wasn't familiar with the plan to begin with.
Well, it's this
Right.
plan. Basically,
Facing the Mars behind.
if you look at there, it's
This is the street here? Well,
The
this
street
is
is
the back.
here.
The street is here, okay, go ahead. Yep.
And it's basically in the same place, but
Yep,
it got
okay.
bigger, if you're looking from the street,
Right.
bigger toward the right-hand side,
Okay.
about 10 feet.
So-
And then the garage got turned at an angle before it was square,
The garage is going down towards
towards Simpleton Road.
Yeah, Sipit Whistle Road. And the house was from the left. Right. Thank you.
Okay, sir. Any other comments, questions? Okay, hearing none, I'll call for the vote to close the hearing, take it under advisement. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. Abstentions, unanimous, so moved.
Thank you.
Okay, next up is Jeffrey and Jessica Fielder, 44 Falmouth Place, Falmouth, Mass. Request for a one-year extension. This is the one we just heard, so. Jen?
Yeah, they're requesting a one-year extension to finish to implement their new plan. It'll expire October of 2017.
No, nothing. If they get it built in a year, it'll be amazing.
Yeah,
No,
I'm fully
I'll
expecting them to probably request
Try
an
another
additional
yeah, once they
extension,
get started.
but this will get them started.
Well, I would recommend we give a one-year extension.
Second.
Okay, so we've, a motion by Maureen and a second by Mike to grant the one-year extension. Any other comments or questions? Comments or questions from the public? Okay. Hearing none, I'll call for the vote to grant the one-year extension. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. Abstentions, unanimous, so moved. Okay, next up is vote order conditions, 235 Edgewater Drive.
Make sure you get this name right.
Actually, I don't have to, it's already been read into the record.
Shavnerovsky.
Coward.
Shavnerovsky.
They were so proud of you, though.
I know. They gave us candy because. All right.
They give us more.
I don't think you will. What is the, quorum on this? You have a-
Oh,
You were arguing with we had to continue this, you wanted to incorporate the old RDA. Remember, there was an old RDA with some planting issues that were not fulfilled by the previous owner. This is just basically a deck, but part of the
Right.
deck falls within the velocity zone, correct, Mike? Yeah, Falmouth velocity zone. We were asking them to add, they submitted a revised plan with the requirements for the old RDAs. We got the square footage of the little deck part that was in the velocity zone. It was fairly straightforward and simple.
That deck needs to
Yeah.
be fixed, that's.
Yeah.
everybody
Scared
but Lori.
just looking at it.
Oh,
Everybody
yeah,
but
I'm
Lori.
sorry, I have the form sheets right in front of me. Everybody but Maury.
Okay,
Maury, you can go, actually, you're not on the other one, too. Okay. So, I mean, we'll put in your standard conditions regarding the plantings and everything else. Yeah.
okay. All right, any other?
I'll make a motion to accept the
Second.
project as a, second.
Okay, we have a motion by Mike, a second by Courtney, I think.
Yep.
You heard? Any other comments or questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Unanimous, so moved.
Yeah.
Curry Road, Schuman Valley Property Owners Association, this was the beach, is this the,
This is the beach kind of improvements and nourishment. Basically, the staff's major concern was going to be the impacts of the rare species out there. Natural Heritage, as I said at the hearing, has really severely conditioned the project to protect and monitor for those species. So really, as I said at the hearing, it really is up to the board and your comfort level of moving that beach a little out. This is a coastal plain pond shore, which is why they're looking for that rare plant. This particular pond, I know for a fact, the water levels fluctuate, given, any different year, so, it's going to continue to do that.
I don't have a problem as long as it's
Yeah.
adequately surveyed.
It's gonna be surveyed. Natural Heritage,
I don't have a problem with it going out
they have to submit the names of their botanists to us. They have to submit the name of the biologist to both the Concom and Natural Heritage. Natural Heritage will be the approving authority of both the botanist that is chosen and the biologist that is chosen. So it's not gonna be, Joe Plant guy going around the pond shore looking for them. It's gonna be a specialist. So Natural Heritage at Buy More has put a, like I said, a fairly lengthy and strict conditions on the project. So I think it adequately protects it at this point. Other than that, they wanted to do a few beach improvements like kiosks and benches and signs, which is not a problem, and access DPW will facilitate by taking out part of that guardrail. Okay, it's just a road layout issue.
Yeah, it'll spiff up that
So basically,
area.
what's gonna happen is this document from Natural Heritage, we are going to cut and paste the conditions into your order of conditions, because that is what's required. So that's what's gonna happen, okay?
They're expecting that anyways.
Yeah.
Okay.
I move that we adopt as discussed.
Second.
Approve as discussed.
So,
Issue with the
motion by Betsy and a second by Mary. Any other comments or questions? Hearing none, call for vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those
Aye.
opposed, no. Abstentions,
On
unanimous.
my
So
eye.
moved.
I move to,
I have one thing for you guys. Next week, remember, we have a joint meeting with the planning board and Sam.
Coastal resistance.
They want to talk about coastal resiliency. So basically, we have kind of a draft agenda that I want to finalize, and we were going to have a discussion on the goals, policies, and action items in the coastal resiliency element of the local comprehensive plan. The local comprehensive plan is on the website. There's a link under the planning department. We will send you that link to make it so incredibly easy for you.
Yes, that would be nice.
Second agenda item would be to discuss conservancy districts, which are used down in Chatham and Brewster, which restricts or limits the construction in a flood zone. So that is a discussion I want you all to kind of be aware that you might be having, is how do you feel by prohibiting certain construction activities within an A zone or a V zone? These conservancy districts are through zoning initiatives and the planning board. That's how they're done down Cape, and that's how at least staff, if the town wants to move in that direction, would like them to see them done here. And then also your own initiatives, so if anybody has any ideas of what you'd like to discuss as far as coastal resiliency goes, please get me those ideas by the end of the week so we can set an agenda by Monday. I'll put out a draft agenda for the meeting tomorrow or Friday, but if you have any added items you want to discuss, Claire or Russ, get it to me, and we'll post it.
Yeah, I've already talked to Russ.
Okay. All right. Well, you want to talk to me and let me know what those are?
I'll talk to you.
Okay.
I'll talk to you too.
That's a free will and discussion.
I've already talked to Sam too.
Okay, I'm just, reminding you that this discussion's gonna take place. To do a little bit of homework, we'll send you the link so that, Russell's gonna be running the meeting. We'll probably it's been a while since we've had a joint meeting, so it'll be you guys and probably the planning board, Sam.
What happened to the others, Sam?
And,
What happened to the other selectmen? Aren't they coming?
Two others said that they'll be here.
Oh,
right now, it's a joint meeting, according to Brian, it's a joint meeting before the Concom and the planning board. I have not gotten any official word that it's a joint meeting between all three boards, so that could change by tomorrow, who knows? So, stay tuned.
We'll have plenty of public
Yeah.
comment, believe me. We're sure it's a free will and fair, so this should be the idea we can get on it. Okay, Betsy, believe you're gonna make a motion.
to adjourn.
Second.
To adjourn.
Motion by Betsy, second by Kristen, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed,
Rainbow's
no.
gone.
Abstentions, unanimous.